Welcome to selfdiscoveryradio.com, where the orchard of wisdom is just ready for picking. We celebrate your why, the journey that you've taken that inspires someone else. We support your services, we support your story. Come and be our guest, become a host, be an author with us. Come and see what we've got. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul. I'm your host, Sara. I'm not my own guest today. My beautiful guest is Halina Goldstein. We're going to be talking about her books, but we're also going to be talking about spirituality and awakening to a joyful living, and how we can actually step into our own beautiful peace and balance and presence, because it is possible. Her current book is From Lonely to Home, and it's in a workbook, Finding Your Way, and that's always something very useful, isn't it? We get inspired by books, but it's nice to have something that's interactive that can invite us to actually participate and interact with something as you read it, as it takes you on your own life's journey. And you know, what she says is that the Dalai Lama says that joy is the very purpose of life. And I think that's something we really need to be mindful, folks. We're so busy doing, and we stop actually living life as a being, participating, experiencing, embracing the beautiful wonders and joys that this planet has to give us. Our duty is to get out there and live in joy, live in love. That's where our peace comes from, embracing each other, lifting each other up, giving each other's wings, you know, and that's what life and joy is all about. But somehow, isn't it, love, we manage to take these dutiful turns that seem to spiral us down instead of lifting us up. Welcome to the show.
Oh, Sara, you say it so beautifully. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, darling, my pleasure. And thank you for writing an interactive book, the one that people can participate in, because joy is something we need, isn't it?
It is. And it's such a strange thing, because on one hand, it is our nature. And I believe this is why it's our purpose, because our purpose is to go back to ourselves, to find ourselves and become who we are. And on the other hand, we live in a culture where we are so removed from joy, and tend to believe that we can only experience joy in certain circumstances or with certain people, or something needs to happen. And we are really disconnected from a great power that can change our life. So yeah.
Disconnected, big word. We're so busy trying to find ourselves, but we've forgotten to plug ourselves in. It's, you know, we had this little issue just now of I wasn't hearing you, and it's like you could hear me, and so we're trying to work it out, what's not working, and all I had to do is unplug the headphones and plug it back in, and voila. And this is one of the problems in life, isn't it? What are we plugged into? Or not plugged into?
Yes, that is so true. But this is also the mystery in life, isn't it? Because at least the way I see it, we come from a space that is not space, where we fully connected, where we are pure love, and then we arrive here on Earth. And in the beginning, we are still plugged in. We can see it with babies, for example. They are pure joy, pure love. And then as we grow up, and just within the first 3 years, we disconnect bit by bit by bit by bit. And the way I see it, it's really part of the adventure. It's part of life on Earth that this happens, that the disconnect happens, so that we can experience the challenges, we can fight them, we can learn and all that. And then at some point we begin to realize it's time to reconnect.
Yes. And then the big how, you know, how do we do that? Because I think once you've realized you've actually disconnected, oh boy, life is happening all around me, but it's not happening to me or with me, then it's like, well, I've got a plug. Where do I plug it in? Or is my life on Wi-Fi? You know?
Oh, I love your metaphors. Sara. It's modern times.
Exactly.
Uh,
And the big how comes along, and then people just simply don't know because they're so inundated with
mm,
life. You've got to be doing. And it's like, sometimes just being, you'll actually understand where you need to plug in.
yes, yes, it happens naturally. It's a funny place to be when you begin to find out you need to plug in. Um, when I really started to find out, it was before the internet, so I didn't have the metaphors. and
Well,
and
way
the,
back when.
yes, exactly. It was like late 90s, right?
Right, gosh.
And yes, oh, life was special back then.
Yes, we actually
Um,
talk to people face to face.
Yeah, that too. But on the other hand, we didn't have access to all the knowledge
Right.
we have today.
Yes.
And this kind of makes me think right now that we live in such a strange place, because on one hand, with the internet, with all the fantastic access we have to books and tools and teachers and coaches on the internet, there is no lack of knowledge.
No.
There's plenty and plenty and plenty of it. And at the same time, at the end of the day, that connection can only happen within.
Yes.
So on one hand, there are, especially these days, like this month, really
Yeah.
these days, I experience more and more people that say, I feel overwhelmed. I've been to yet another webinar and yet another webinar and yet another course and yet another book, and they get all the knowledge, they get all the information, and they feel overwhelmed because they haven't learned, in a sense, to connect.
Digest it or digest it.
Yeah, also digest it, definitely, but also find out where, or this is digestion, I guess, like where does it need to touch me? How
Yes.
do I really listen?
Mm.
What do I really need? Where is that place within me, and not in the teacher, not in the book,
Right.
not in the course? Where's that place within me? So whether there's internet or not, whether we have information or not, it seems like we always end up searching and
Well, I think
searching within, right?
a lot of the knowledge, it gets stuck, from
Mm.
the neck up. And then
Yeah.
you just have this massive database, and none of the information is wrong. It's all extremely relevant. But if you're not
Mm.
connected to the soul, the heart, and the spirit, and you haven't put those other cylinders in your vehicle on, then you're
Mm.
actually not going to know what that knowledge means to you. It's only when you come from that, beautiful divine space up into the heart of resonance and then into the spirit of action, do you actually understand, that piece of information is what I need to apply in my life. This is what
Mm.
I need to digest right now. And
Mm.
if we can, get out of the head, all right, you've got all this wonderful data, this lovely knowledge. How are you going to apply it? Go in,
Mm.
digest,
Exactly.
feel the knowledge, then you'll know how to use the knowledge, and then you're actually in action, which is really important.
That is so beautiful. And knowledge becomes knowing instead,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes,
Which is a
knowingness, which is
completely
a big
different
thing. Yeah,
thing.
I've just
Yeah.
noticed I have one hair that's been my antenna here at the present
Oh, perfect. I have one too.
I keep looking and again, boing keeps coming back up, and maybe it's channeling for me today.
It is, maybe it is. We are antennas. I really believe that.
Yes, well, that
Um,
channeling is something else, isn't it? Is that you've got the outside knowledge, but
mm,
unless you go inside and connect to the heart, soul, and spirit, where that channeling of that knowledge truly is, from knowledge to knowingness, what you need to know when you need to know it, and
mm,
knowing that that knowledge is relevant to you, not just a blanket to everyone else. That channeling is something that we all can do, and but it's kind of meditation. Hurry up, am I meditating now? I haven't got all day. We've got to learn to be still, haven't we, to allow
mm.
to allow it to happen.
Yeah. And also, To allow that it takes time
Mm.
to arrive and to learn that slow is fast, because again we
Yes.
are in this world of achievement, and that has, as much as it's been in the entire culture, the spiritual world is being affected by it, that there is
Mm.
this, I need to awaken next month, I need to be enlightened tomorrow, and it's so tempting to hurry,
Yes.
rather than to allow ourselves to take all the time and to create that peace that is needed to arrive for ourselves. It really takes it takes a
And
little
be
bit of a
patient.
discipline.
Yeah, you
Yes,
have to be
patient.
patient. I mean, there's
Yeah.
I said the other day that I was at a bus stop and I was watching all these cars go whizzing by. And,
Mm,
and I'm a driver. I've really only kind of recently become a busser, just because of transition and moving around. And
mm.
it's like, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, they're all going so fast. Have I slowed down, or have they speeded up? And I realized, in a
Good
lot of ways
question.
it is both, because when you get behind the wheel of the car, you're just directional, right? You're
Mm,
just aiming to go to where you need to go to. When you take a slower journey like a bus ride, you learn to talk to people on the bus or at the bus stop.
mm,
You pay more attention to what's going on because somebody else is driving. And I think
mm,
that sometimes stepping out of our routine or destination based and paying attention literally to every part of your journey, the walk, the bus ride, whatever it is, just slow down and pay attention. We start
mm.
tuning in, don't we? We start connecting and realizing there's joy in that bird singing in the tree, in the leaves
Exactly.
rustling, in the sun shining and reflecting on the flowers. If you want to know what life is about, pay attention to your surroundings.
Absolutely. And also allow some more playfulness, because when you
Yes.
said this thing that we get directional, it reminds me when children, when they go from point A to point B, they don't go the straight line, right? They jump and they dance and they go to the side and find a stone, and they most definitely reach point B, but there's a whole like life and adventure between A and B, and there is presence and there's wonder and there is joy.
Mm.
Whereas we kind of have this idea that we need to be like machines, point E to point B, right?
Yeah, I know. I
And
know.
we miss
Where's the
on most of
adventure?
it.
Where's
Mm.
the adventure? Do you think that we've kind of lost our adventure? Because
No.
by instinct,
Mm.
in
Mm.
our DNA, we're explorers.
Yes.
We love adventure. We love exploring. I mean, look at what we've created, technology,
Mm.
even the simple thing of what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
It's was not there in the 90s. It's here
Mm.
now. And it's
Mm.
opened up the door to wisdom and inspiration and connection around the world. If we didn't have that exploratory nature as to
Mm.
what is possible, clearly, obviously, what is possible has taken us down some bad roads as well,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
nuclear bombs and a few other things. But when we use it in an applicable way that actually inspires humanity, connects humanity, and shows us what other wonders are around the world and in the universe, that's, we've woken up, don't we? We've become that child again.
Exactly, and I think these times are the times when it begins to happen or can begin to happen, because we've had this long period where it was just, this was the technical exploration, it was the brain, it was the
Mm.
masculine way, it was the mental way, and it's all very, very valuable. But now it's really the time, I think Barbara Marx Hubbard speaks a lot about it, like it's really the time to bring the technology, the awakening, the nature, the environment, all of it together. And this is where our potential is as
Yeah, the
humanity,
integration.
as
The
people, right?
integration. Yeah, I've interviewed some scientists with the quantum type physics
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah.
And, one of the realizations in a conversation that we're having, it was like an aha moment. Oh, now I actually understand. Now we can actually measure,
Mm.
quantum energy. We're actually understanding people who choose to live in spirituality are actually living in a quantum vibration, a
Mm.
higher frequency. Now they get it. It's not just, I'm spiritual and woo woo. It is like, I'm plugged in, I'm
Mm.
connected, I've raised my vibration. And they are now able to measure that. And they're
Mm.
actually seeing
Fantastic.
in that elevation of beingness,
Mm.
a human being is healthier, happier, and more contributing.
Mm. That is so fascinating. And speaking of high vibration, this is the thing about joy, really, that
Mm.
on one hand, the deep joy, not just the fleeting experience of happiness, but the deep joy. On one hand, it's something that's really accessible for most of us. It's fairly easy for us to connect with, and at the same time, it is this high vibration.
Mm.
So it's such a powerful energy to connect with, because it's possible. You don't have to like meditate for 3 years before you connect with joy. And at the same time, when you really start opening to it, then you do raise your vibration,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things begin to open up. Yeah.
That's the open up, be
Mm.
willing to open up.
Mm.
And, when you talk about the exterior joy, and that is, the beauty around us, or we go see a great play or movie, or we've read a great book. But when we can bring that joy into the inner joy, there's something about an inner joy that is just so peaceful. It's like a deep breath,
Yes.
isn't it? It just,
Yes.
and it's like,
Exactly.
I feel so joyful because, it doesn't matter what's going on around me. What's going on within me is where
Mm.
that, and then when the inner joy connects with the outer joy, you just see everything around you so differently.
Mm. You're a joy keeper. That's exactly how I experience it too. Is that in the beginning, when I started like coming out with this work, because I've been working with joy for years and
Mm.
years, but like really putting it into words and saying Joy Keepers Network and Awakening to Joyful Living, I remember having this feeling, oh no, now people will expect that I'm going and laughing all the time. But
Yes.
that's not how joy is. It is that deep, calm feeling. And sometimes, yes, sometimes the wonder like builds up and bigs up, and
Mm.
all of a sudden I find myself, giggling.
Right.
But most of the time it's just this peaceful wonder. Like babies, which I really, really have every reason to believe they're really deep into that energy. They don't giggle all the time. They just look at me with wonder. And when
Yeah.
we feel it, joy,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And
Yes.
that sense of kind of peace and connection, it's
Mm.
life's going to happen, things are going to happen around you, that's life, you can't do anything about that. How you respond to it, though, I do have a sister at the present moment who's very, very, very
Mm.
sick and has to have an operation, and it's a 50-50 with the operation because it's extremely
Mm.
high risk for her. And I'm a firm believer in good vibrations, so I put out on Facebook, prayers for my sister, and there's been
Mm.
over 100 people that have sent prayers, which I did this with my mum when she was passing over,
Mm.
and that helped her pass over peacefully because she was just not being able to connect with the angels.
Mm.
And we have to actually understand the power of love, the
Mm.
power of good intent, the power of good feelings, the power of sending prayers, that good vibration is absolutely tangible. It is absolutely real.
Mm.
This thing that we need to physically hand something over for it to be, no. When we live in that joy and that love and that peace, you're handing yourself over, right, in everything that you do. And it's so beautiful. And we've got to realize, don't limit yourself by our physical, extend yourself, because your energy can go anywhere. It's
Mm.
infinite, and it go out into space. We can go anywhere.
Absolutely. And you know what I also notice as you say this is that, and I'm keeping your sister in my heart, but as you
Thank you.
say this, I also notice that you asked for help. And that is
Yes.
the other side of it, is
Mm.
to open to receive from within, from above, whatever words we have for this, but also from other people. It's so important. That's such an important part of connection, to open to receive.
Yes, because
And
for
to
a
ask
very
for
long
help.
time, it was, no, I'm independent. I don't need help. I can do this on my own, right? And
Exactly.
we know that didn't work, folks. We back to the village. We need each other. We're
Mm.
only as good as we are when we're there for each other. It's I put out something yesterday about having the wings. And when you believe in yourself and you step into your own joyful life, you've spread your wings. It's the people around you that is the wind beneath your wings.
Oh, how beautiful. Yes.
Right?
How
And
beautiful.
so this is what we have to remember. Our wings are our responsibility,
Mm.
for us to unfeather them and spread them out. But those people around you is the what's going to lift those wings up, and you need them because we need each other.
Absolutely. And there is such a delicate balance. Back in my lonely days, when I was really disconnected, I was meditating, I was doing a lot of good stuff, but the deeper connection was still missing. And I was like so searching for love and support outside, and it would like disappear for me. It was never there. But so at that point in my life, it was very important to be on my own and to find that deep connection within
Yeah.
me.
Self-reflection, self-discovery. Yeah.
Once that connection is in place, everything else can begin to open, and then the outer connection uh, becomes something different, because there's a difference between attachment and dependency, and then the connection between free souls, so to speak, that can really support and lift each other. Very, very different experience, don't you find?
Yes, I mean, oh God, I don't know how many years ago I wrote a piece about, only the lonely, and how lonely it is to be in a room with
Mm.
people that don't see you or hear you, because there is just no connection. Everybody's what I call surface talking. Nobody is actually asking. Nobody's actually engaging. Nobody's actually connecting, and you feel so lonely. I think I spend an awful lot of my time alone out of choice. And I'm not lonely. The loneliest time was when I was with people and I felt there was no connection. And I think this is the thing, get connected within first. And then you'll find the right people to connect with on the outside, where you will see and hear each other. Because loneliness is the feeling that no one sees you or hears you or even wants to know you. They could be talking to you, but they're not talking with you.
That is true, and it's from what I've learned from my life and working with others. Also, at the end of the day, loneliness is really the disconnect between us and our
Absolutely.
souls.
Yes.
The interesting thing, and that blew my mind, because back when I was lonely, have always had this feeling of not belonging, and I could create all kind of stories why I wasn't belonging here, how I didn't fit those people, how those people were wrong, etc., etc., etc. I was wrong. What happened is that as I connected more and more and more, not only was I able, the right people, as you say, they just appeared in my life effortlessly. They continue to do that ever since. But the other side of it, and that blew my mind, was that, and that has also continued ever since, is that I now feel connected with everyone. I can be in a room with people we have nothing in common, and I feel connected, and I feel that there's love, and I feel there's joy, and it doesn't matter so much what they say. They may not be my best friends. I may not be, in that sense, like making them my inner circle.
Right.
But we can be in the same room, and there can be love, and there can be joy, and they can they can be chatter about insignificant things. But on the energy level, the connection is there. And that is so beautiful, because that means that when we are connected with our soul, we are connected with the entire world.
But you're stepping into that beautiful, loving vibration. You've become that beacon of love. So, when you step into a room, that's what you bring with you. And everybody's looking for that love. If they're all looking to be loved, can I love somebody else? Can I love life? Can I be, where is this love? Where is the love, as Black Eyed Peas say?
That is, that is very true. And that is something that is so important in my work and in the Joy Keepers Network, that as we create that connection, as we strengthen that connection, we take it with us. We don't have to think, we don't have to meditate all the time. It's with us, and it does affect our environment and changes the world. On the other hand, or not on the other hand, but the other aspect of it is that as we connect and as we embrace ourselves more and more and more, there is a growing connection, experience of oneness with others. And that means that we can see ourselves in everyone. So there's no longer the need to say, oh, I'm not like you, or this is not me, or you're different. There's more seeing, oh, this is me too. this is me too. This is me too. I love this too. I love this too. I love this too.
We're seeing each other from the inside out.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's, black, white, pink, polka dot, who cares? Alien, human, who cares? The bottom line is we're seeing hearts, we're seeing souls. And that's what we're connecting. That's what we're resonating with. The presence of a person. And, it's when you are drawn to somebody, you're drawn to that presence, that truth, that heart, that soul. And, you'll find that they come from extraordinary parts of the world, or, things that they do open up your mind to other things. And when we, it's like Forrest Grump's in the box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. And it's like, dip into the chocolate, try every one of them, don't I don't like that shape, or I don't like that. No, you're missing out. And it's just open up and see what happens, because that's the beauty of it, right?
Exactly. And that's the wonder of the child again, right? Just exploring, just saying, who are you? What's this adventure? Who are you? Right.
Well, you'd watch children when they meet, and they have absolutely no idea why that child is black or white or pink, polka dot, yellow, or this, or long hair, short hair. Any judgment they have would have come from a human being, from an adult that would have imposed it on the child. But when the child talks with each other innocently, and you're seeing this with the animal kingdom now, animals that are not meant to be friends, being there for each other, because it's that resonance of love that comes from within. That's what they're shining out. That's what others are drawn to. And if we could take away our prejudice, our judgment, our dictation of how everybody should be, and literally, take off those glasses and put on those glasses that see the inner, the heart and the soul, we would step so much more into a joyful life. Because we would actually understand the joy lies in that beautiful globe that comes from within someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really, again, I guess it's about patience again, to like, there are so many ways. My path has never been to like try to get rid of anything or try to let go of anything, but more embrace. And that isn't so difficult, really. It just takes some patience and some willingness to the more we can embrace ourselves, and because we are really complex beings, we are such strange worlds within us, but the more we can embrace that, the more we can meet others with the same openness. And that's the adventure too, that entire journey from this pure innocence into all the complications, and then going back and simplifying.
Yes. I had a 9-year-old who had written a book, 365 days of gratitude with a positive attitude.
Wow.
And she's coming back with her second book at the grand age of 11. And, I wasn't quite sure what to expect to interview her. And then really, quite honestly, it's the simplicity. If you're unhappy, go and do something that makes you happy. And it's like, why do we as adults have to get so complicated? If we're feeling sad, go and find something that's going to lift us up, right? It's why do we have to make things so complex when really we could just take a simple approach and save ourselves a lot of grief?
That is true, but I guess we are made as complex beings for a reason.
Well, to explore the possibilities, I understand, because that makes us want to know how this works. I mean, you think computers used to be the size of a city block.
Yes, I know, I remember.
Yeah, exactly. And now, it's in your watch, right? The entire computer is, as a friend of mine said, she said, the phones are not a phone. They're a mini computer you're walking around with, know, and it's, but that came from somebody, looking at the complexities of what could be and what it could make. But I think there's a time and place for it. And when we're looking at our own lives, it's that what is causing me to be lonely or segregated, and what patterning keeps spiraling me into that, and how can I redirect myself, the way I see things, the way I want to invite life, the way I connect with life? Because half the time we're on a on a repeat pattern that we just simply do not know
Mm.
is part of our DNA, and we can change that.
Certainly, certainly. And that, again, we are, for good and for worse, we live in a world where there are many ways of doing it. I personally want to be a little bit cautious in that sense that as much as I work with joy, and joy is the thing,
Yes.
and this is the energy, I would never, suggest to anyone, stop being sad, now be joyful, because I really believe that the best we can do is embrace what is. Because when we do, this is the beauty of the magic of it, is that when we connect and are willing to embrace whatever we feel, we begin to expand.
Mm-hmm.
We begin to expand. We bring love into that place of pain. And that means that it begins to transform. And as it begins to transform, joy shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to, because, some people will maybe feel, oh, I'm not allowed to grieve, or I should, hurry up and stop being stressed, stop being stressed. It doesn't work. But if we can embrace it, then joy and love will follow.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to struggle for it. So there's a beautiful dance in my experience between embracing what is, and embracing the pain, and embracing whatever life brings us, and also embracing the joy and the love, and then let it dance.
Everything has its reason, and we have to go. There is no avoiding it. You
No.
can't just suddenly take the joy-filled pill, and go, I'm loving joy.
No, exactly.
It's if we're given sadness, if we're given pain, if we're given anxiety, there is a reason for it. It means you have to go through this process. You have to look at it. Why are you sad? Why are you stressed? What can you do to go through this, to change this, and revive yourself? And because everything has a meaning. You're sad because you don't like what's happening. Well, what are you going to do to change that will bring you joy of action? If you're anxious and you're stressed out, then take that deep breath. Go and do something joyful that that will take you out of the stress. But they're all indicators of where you are right now, or what is happening to you. It doesn't mean you have to be paralyzed in it.
No, absolutely not. And also, it's really about trust, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love this saying by Byron Katie, that life is always happening for you, not to you. That whatever comes our way is an invitation, and it is a gift. And some gifts are wrapped in really rough paper. Some gifts are really hard, really sandpaper, exactly. But they are nevertheless gifts. So if we can approach life this way, and accept and meet it with trust, and they say, okay, this is a gift, and as you say, what's in this gift, and then start unwrapping, start unpacking, then we will find joy, and we will find new insights, and we will expand through it. So it is about trust, really. And
the people I've interviewed that have been through some of the most horrific things, it's like, how can they be so strong with what they've been through, the losses that they've had, and a multiple of them, and yet here they are today, living in joyful service, contributing, trying to lift somebody else's life up, from everything that they have experienced. They've put together something that now will help somebody else on their journey. And I think that is one of the greatest gifts. They went through their suffering, their strife, their living hell, and then stepped into their heavenly presence, which now they're exuding out that love to everyone else. And you look at that and you go, if they can, I can. If they can find that strength and courage, I can too.
Exactly. That is so very true. And also it gives us such a foundation in life. For example, my life, for the first almost 40 years, it was such a struggle, it was such pain, and back then I could not understand it, and I reacted like everyone else, like, why is this happening to me? And today, where I am now, it's like, oh, it was all worth it. I
Yes,
would do it all over again.
yes.
Such a gift, 40 years of gifts, no matter how heavy it is. So it becomes a place from which we can serve others, but it also becomes a place of like eternal gratitude for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, a conversation I was having with somebody, sometimes I feel like a shattered doll that's been glued back together and a few little pieces are missing, right? And she was talking about in Chinese culture, how they take these porcelain things and then with the seams, seam them with gold. And so that, and I think that's what we need to look at. I've been glued back together, I don't know how many times, but if I take every single one of those seams and kind of lay it with the inlay of gold and look upon the nuggets of information, of strength and of courage I learned through every breakage, then I would look at my porcelain doll and all its cracks, even the little missing pieces, and feel whole again.
Absolutely. That is so beautiful, and that is so true. Absolutely.
We don't get through life unscathed, do we? I mean, to think I can just, if I don't pay attention, if I don't see it, if I don't interact with it, it's not going to happen to me. Nobody goes through life unscathed because, this life is here to experience.
Exactly. That's how we grow. I have met one person in my life that said he really had a great life from beginning to end. And then a few years passed, and then he said, oh, now I remember something from my childhood and youth. Not true. So I don't know anyone who just...
Yes. And, some people have really got what I call the gravy life this lifetime. It's, we have no idea what their past lifetimes have been. Maybe this is their, we're going to make it easy for you this lifetime.
Relatively
easy, yeah. Because again, nobody goes through it. And I look at what I've gone through in life, and all those cracks and everything is put together. And every time I've got something else in front of me and I go, oh, how can I do it? All I have to do is look what you've already done. This one's easy, this one's easy.
Yes.
And we find out that we're so much stronger and so much more courageous than we think we are. And I think part of that loneliness sometimes comes in is that we just don't know our strength and our courage. We don't think we have it in us to stand up and at first it is a battle, isn't it? At first you are battling life until you realize I'm battling to get into the flow of life, to go with the wind, that it can take me where I need to go. But at the present moment, I'm going down one avenue where the wind's blowing at me to get down to that avenue which will blow behind me. So and that's okay, but we don't want to be a warrior all the time because we don't want to be fighting for everything all the time.
No, it's a phase of life.
It's
a stage of life, and then it turns around, and then it's time to come home.
Yes, get into the flow, into the rhythm, into the vibe, and it will lead you forward. And the thing is, again, wind isn't linear. It goes up and down and it twirls all around, and sometimes you become a tornado.
Absolutely. But as you said, I don't know, of course, what's ahead, but so far, it gets easier and easier because we get stronger, we expand more, we have more and more resources, we have more and more people around us. It gets easier and easier and easier.
Yes.
So it's all worth it.
Yes. It is worth it. That's the whole point, folks. It is worth it. Now, you've got a couple of other books here I want to talk about. So you've got Finding Joy in Every Day. You've got Meditations for the Living. And you've got From the Lonely to Home. So let's talk about the other books as well.
So which one would you like to talk about?
Dive in. I don't know which order they came in. So,
the most recent one is the Finding Joy book, and I would actually like to talk about that because it's the most recent one, but also it's the one that almost wrote itself. None of the others were extremely difficult to write, but this one, it just it just arrived. It's within a day or two, and I've received wonderful response. It's a tiny book. It's just 25 pages. You can download it for free. and the responses I've received were just wonderful. People telling me that they simply start feeling joy as they read it, and they start connecting with joy as they read it. It is a book about it's a practice on how to reconnect with joy, step by step, and it's very doable. And then there's also, the philosophy and the this a deeper understanding of what joy truly is, and the perspectives into it. But there is this joy vibration in it, apparently. I cannot know it, because you know how it is. I just write, I just do my thing.
Well, you kind of channeled it down. So it came with the cosmic energy, right? To,
and
put in the right frequencies.
apparently. So it's a really, I'm grateful that it arrived, and then it's there, and people can download it and can start.
Well, having a book too that's also kind of just so short and sweet, it's a great way of introducing people to something, to getting them on that right vibration. So now they're actually more ready to pick up a book that has more pages, like your Lonely to Home, where it's more interactive.
Yeah, well, the real long book is in this computer. I'm working on it. the real big book, it's called Awakening to Joyful Living, and I'm still working on it. That will be the really profound exploration of it all. And I hope and trust it will be out next year. But
excellent. We'll have to have you back for that one.
Thank you.
But the thing about having a small book that raises the vibration, puts people into that joy set of mind, when they go to the next book, they're already in tuned enough to be ready to receive. The thing is about anything, a book, a knowledge program, if people aren't there yet open enough to receive, it doesn't matter what you've got. And somebody could say, but you have to read this, it did this to me, and that person's just not there yet. They would open the book and see nothing. You have to be able to change their own vibration to say, I want to read it, I'm ready to receive.
There needs to be a resonance.
Yes.
There really needs to be a resonance. And that's at different stages of our life, but also with different teachers, obviously. So absolutely. But actually, I really most enjoy connecting with people more directly. Books are great.
Yes.
But the gift of being able to meet like you and I meet, or to meet, during an event, to speak, to meet in a group, to do a meditation together. I really have a feeling that after all this online life and all these digital products, there is a need and a growing longing for direct communication, for us meeting each other offline and directly, and creating this way.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people will think, well, how can you talk, because a lot of people are going now to doing their programs through Skype or through Zoom. And it's like, well, how can you do that? Don't you have to meet the people face to face? And it's absolutely wonderful when you can. But, one thing that surprised me, I met a whole load of people that I'd interviewed through this medium. And then when I met them in person, it felt like I'd always known them. That we'd already made the vibrational connection, and all the only difference is that we could hug each other. Other than that, it was still there. So both are equally as important. But it's about making that connection. And I think one of the things that both parties have to come to and come with is that inner honesty. And unless you're willing to go in and take that journey into finding your own self-love and your own why, your own how, and being honest with yourself, I say you're always deluding everyone else because you're deluding yourself. So it's when you meet somebody that's embraced that inner honesty, there is such a connection, isn't there?
Absolutely. And by the way, just as a short note, you're completely right about Zoom or Skype. I don't do any face-to-face coaching anymore. I only do it because I work globally. So of course we just meet, and that works beautifully, actually. So this is
being able to work globally. I mean, this is what's so great. You can work with people in other countries and other cultures, and what we read, they may speak differently. They may have a slightly different culture and different foods, but when it comes down to the inside out. They're
Mm.
exactly the same as us. We've all got those insecurities. We've all,
Yes.
looking for that joy, that love and
Mm.
kindness, our contribution to life. What's our service? We're all looking for that. And when you
Absolutely.
meet other cultures around the world that are on that same journey, and
Mm.
they can, ignite themselves into their heart and souls and then take it back into their community, it's a beautiful ripple effect, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is the magic of it, and it
Mhm.
builds up and it builds up these days. It is a magic time to live in. I've been wondering sometimes why are these things happening so late in my life? Because I'm 63 now, and I'm completely convinced that I've been waiting, because right now these years something builds up. There are more and more and more people and things that are happening now, and things that people are open to today they weren't open to 5 or 10 years ago. So it's such a special time you live in, such a beautiful
We're the same
time.
age, and I think that I've always been a spiritual counselor,
Yeah.
and it was still one of those things that was too much twilight zone for people. And then I
Mm.
really do believe that 2012 literally changed the frequency and the vibrations
Uh-huh.
of human beings. And then that consciousness woke up and people were kind of beginning to become, what is this? I'm feeling something different. There's something
Mhm.
going on inside of me. I'm becoming more aware. They were waking up, and we were there to help them on that path, on that bridge of crossing over into their beautiful fifth dimensional purpose. And it's been so exciting, because that's when I started to do my shows a few months prior to the big shift. And I've just had 1,000 shows that I've done on this network, on my own network.
Mm.
I've probably done around 1,200 on my own, all
Wow.
over in 6 years. And I call it 1,200 shows of nuggets. I call my shows the orchard of wisdom, ready for the picking. And the
Mhm.
fruit that has been born, that wisdom that has been shared, that's being devoured by other people.
Mm.
And that is because all of this conscious awakening. So whether it's
Mm.
people that have come before, struggled, and now are there as the teachers, the mentors, or whether it's the people waking up and stepping into their purpose, their
Mm.
beautiful divine purpose and their joy of living.
Absolutely.
It is an exciting time to be alive. Would
It
we have
is.
preferred this being 50 years ago? Yes, but we're here now and experiencing it now, and it really is truly an awesome
Yeah.
time to be alive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I'm not even sure if I agree that I would prefer it 50 years ago, because I wasn't there either 50 years ago.
Right.
Yes, I've been on a spiritual journey since I was 18, and it's been unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. But all the dimensions coming
Yeah.
together the way they do now, I wasn't ready 50 years ago. So I'm glad we waited.
Yes, I just like to have another 50 years here, so to actually really
That
get
I
my teeth
can
into it.
that I can relate to, but
And
because
of course,
that's life. That's
yeah,
life.
and
Glimpses.
whether it's us or not, but we're seeing people living to over 100, and actually, when you look at those people, what is it? A joy of life, right?
Mm.
And living a simple life,
It is.
right?
And this is so interesting, because um, when I reached around 60, that was a different like difficult passage for me. Very unusual, because I never minded getting older, but it was like 60. But now at 63, I have like, yes, it would be wonderful to just go on, go on, go on. And at the same time, there's such a feeling, if my life stopped
Mm.
tomorrow, would be in bliss. It has been such a gift.
Yes.
So I'm good either way.
Well,
I'm
that's the thing.
curious. I'm like, yeah.
You've stepped into yourself, and you're at one
Mm,
with yourself and your
yes.
universe, as one beautiful gentleman I interviewed last week, Reverend Charles Edwardus, and he's going to be back on again this week, with
Great.
the same
Hmm.
week as your shows. And he's he calls it Gus, God, Universe, Spirit, which I love it,
Yes.
because and that covers everybody, right? So
Mm,
whichever way you choose to look at it. And it's just that when you step into that, going back again, that inner joy, that inner
mm,
peace, that inner presence, you know you still got an awful lot more to do. And that's what gets you up every day, that joy of being able to
Absolutely.
ripple out, you know, and ignite and activate people into that heart and that joy. But at the same time, that sense of peace that you've been here, you now know you're already at one with the universe. So if this vessel did go, your spirit hasn't gone anywhere. It's just ready to go on to the next assignment. But your spirit at least is being ignited into being, right? So it won't have to struggle so much the next time.
Exactly. We'll see.
I mean, told I had to come back another lifetime, and I said, "You make the next one easy for me. I want the gravy, thank you." And I'll just come back. I'll remember the struggles, and you know, take 2. Now we're going to go into the joyful side of things.
Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the more difficult it gets, the more exciting.
No. I've done my past lives, and believe me, my last 50 years were quite horrific. 50 lifetimes were quite horrific. So, yes, no, it's it's the other side of the coin for me now. I'm not accepting any of the other.
You're done. Okay.
Been there, done that. Change the page. In fact, let's rewrite a whole new book. I think that's also part of it, isn't it? Is also find something that can download you. You know, is it writing? Is it art? Is it dancing? Is it singing? Find something, and it's not for anyone else, and it may transpire to be, but it's for you. It's a way of expressing you, of downloading you, and then of that then revealing you to you. And it's a lovely practice to do that, isn't it?
It is. And I've been through like stages of it. So funny that you mention it, because for me it was music to begin with. And like for the first, I don't know how many years until 2005, music was the way through which I like had the deepest connection with my soul, and then also started playing for others. And then all of a sudden stopped and writing began. Yeah. And who knows what it will be next time. So that creative expression changes form, and we explore different things. But it, as you say, it expands and expands, and it is a way for us to meet ourselves, and then also to become instrument for others.
You might become a hip hop dancer. Who knows, right?
Well, who knows?
Get down. I mean, that's the thing, is don't put limitations. I mean, yes, we do have limitations on the body, on the vessel. You know, as we get older, you know, we do discover this, you know, however much the spirit wants to get up and get down, you know, I just can't do the break dancing, you know. and it's so, well, but you can let your spirit fly in other ways. So it's, don't say I can't because my body won't. Look to other ways to express it, right? There's always other ways. If you can't do this, you can do that. Just explore.
Beautiful.
There's so much in us that we just don't know until we're willing to kind of, quote, put pen to paper, so to speak, and tell our own story. And as you said, that last book wrote itself. And then you discovered it after you'd written it. And it's like, very often that is our lives. If we're willing to be that pen and just write our life, and then as we're doing it, oh my goodness, where are you going next? This is exciting, right? Be our own novel.
Exactly. And it can become a very, very powerful tool. A year ago or so, I downloaded, as you say, about 40 pages of like something that's now called the Lightworker Manual. I haven't published it because I only do it within coaching groups, but it's really powerful stuff. And in the beginning, I had absolutely no idea what was coming down. I was just writing, and it's like a teaching, like 20 chapters and a journey, and it's amazing. So we can really continue exploring new areas of service, new areas of discovery, but also, you know, even as you know, as you and I, we have been working, you know, personal growth, spiritual growth all our lives. And to me, it continues to be a deeper exploration, a deeper, much deeper understanding on what reality is and what it is not, what is really going on within and what is not going in. And like new and new, like really waking up to ourselves bit by bit by bit by bit. It's so exciting. It's such a gift to just be able to do this journey and find out, wow, this dream is amazing,
Yes.
right? Yes.
But it's allowing, as you pointed
Mm.
out, it's allowing ourselves to do that, because again, we always put
Yes.
these restrictions on. Well, you
Mm.
can't do that. Well, who says? You know,
Mm.
this pen is in my hand. There is the paper. It's going to write where I'm going. All I have to do is allow and be willing
Yes.
to step into it. And
Mm.
also, please do not get caught up in what other people say you should or you can or you
Mm.
cannot do. You know, being true to who you are and what your gift is, which clearly you have stepped into. And that's the reason why you can download such beautiful things, you know, because your channels are open. You're true to who you are, and now you actually understand the gift that you've been given and
Mm.
how to use it, right? You've literally worked from the soul, heart, spirits to understand the mind's gift. But if we live on that dictatorship, I call it a dictatorship of expectation of,
Mm.
you know, you must be this, you're not that, you haven't got this, you're not thin enough, fat enough, young enough, this enough, that enough, and all we ever hear of us, not enough. Well, you
Mm.
know what? From the inside out, in my own joy, my own peace, my own calm, I am plenty enough. And if I step
Yeah.
that in and turn my own volume up, that exuding out of my enoughness
Mm.
will have a ripple effect on other people to make them feel they're enough as well. So
Exactly.
we've
Yes.
got to find out what it is. What's our gift, right? What's our gift to give?
Exactly. Exactly, and so beautiful the way you just expressed it, and that in this way we're doing it all together. We do it for ourselves. We do it for each other. It's
Mhm.
such a beautiful journey.
That's the beauty of it, is the togetherness. You know, when we
Mm.
understand, the cellular structure in the body is what, trillions of cells. But when those cells start breaking down, it can then have a domino effect and break down the whole body. So if
Mm.
we look upon ourselves in society of life as a cell, and we decide that we're going to be plump and juicy and abundant and healthy and help all the other cells around us, then we're looking
Mm.
at a healthy body. You know, and I think
Mm.
that's we are responsible for ourselves and who we are and what we
Mm.
do, but we
Mm.
also have a commitment to our society, global community. We have a commitment to bring
Mm.
our best to the table so that we can provide part of the ingredients for the feast of life.
Absolutely, and the beauty of it again is that it happens so naturally that at the stage of our life where there's so much pain and there's so much complexity and there's so much struggle and there's so much resistance, we try to be good, we try to be kind. It's a struggle, but the more we unfold, the less we need to try. We just need to be ourselves, and there's such a natural impulse to contribute. It becomes the most important thing in life because there's joy in it. It's no longer a duty. Yes, it is a commitment, but from a place of joy, not from a place of obligation. And that makes all the difference. It's become so natural. Don't you
Well,
find?
it's being you. That's the
Mm.
important
Yes.
thing, is that, you know, again, we've been taught that we have to be something else to be valued. But when we step into the
Mm.
value of self, that's when we're being ourselves, and that's when we actually have the most to give. You know, the
Mm.
most to give, the most to invite from others, because being the best you will help somebody unravel themselves and become the best them. You know, and
Yes.
now, you know, we are all these beautiful instruments in the orchestra, and what harmony we have to play. And I have my glasses back on because I can't read without them. And I want to know about these programs that you're doing. You've got the one-on-one mentoring that you do, but
Mm.
you have this Joy of Purpose support group, and you have the Light
Yes.
Workers group. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So the Lightworkers coaching program, that's the program that's built around the Lightworker manual. So this 40
Mm,
pages, 20 chapters. And the way it works is that when people sign up, they get the one chapter of the manual every 2 weeks, and then every day they get an email with some very simple instructions that help them digest the
mhm.
chapter they're reading. So really, like, and which essentially means dive deeper into themselves.
Yeah.
And the whole journey is basically a journey of becoming a light worker, which again means a journey of becoming that light antenna, like that hair of you, right? Becoming deeply grounded and deeply connected with our light, so that we can naturally radiate who we are, and in that sense bring more light and more balance and more joy to the world. So that's like the structure of the program. And there's also group coaching twice a month, because obviously questions appear, and there's need for more personal support. So that's this program. The other program, the other group we just started, actually, it's called the Joy of Support Group. And this is because, again, at some point on the journey, the living our purpose becomes so important. And what I find is that as we really step into our purpose, we actually also step into big challenges. It's a different kind of challenges than the struggles that we're talking about. But our true purpose comes with big challenges. It is most often scary. It's most often feels much bigger than we are. It most often leads to a number of fears. So it's really helpful to be in a group and support each other on that journey. And the way that program works is that I do like a master class once a month, and then we have a conversation. So it's also really connecting with each other, like we were talking about. It's not just question answer, but really having a conversation with each other. And then there is a closed Facebook group that is also available with the other group. So there's also a group where you can reach each other at any time of the day. So these groups are there.
So it's presenting a path for people to take to discover that self-discovery of, from the inside out, of who they are, what they're here for, the support along the way of that, in that discovery, and then the support group, which is that in that discovery of sharing and hearing other people share, and then realizing how much we have in common, and then also being in awe of somebody else's strength and courage of going up and beyond, and being inspired to push ourselves even further. So it's a wonderful program that you have there.
Thank you. And as you say, even as we get those big visions, because life purpose does come like a big vision, a way to big vision, it's so helpful to even just express it. Many people don't share it with anyone because it feels so like, who do you think I am? It's so challenging in so many ways. But expressing them in a safe environment means that first of all, you express, and that in itself is a step forward. But also the fact that other people can hold that vision for you is very, very helpful, very supportive.
Yes.
That they can start seeing you as the person that you're becoming on your way to your life purpose.
Right, seeing your light shining bright. Yes, and we've all got that light within us. We're not meant to be in the dark. But on the other hand, when you step out into the light and become the light, you actually really do like the beauty of the darkness, because the darkness is only fearful when that's all you see. But when you bring your own light to the darkness, you see things differently.
Absolutely. And there was this was actually in the light worker manual. That was such a sweet sentence, that the opposite of lightness is not darkness. The opposite of light is not darkness. The opposite of light is blindness.
Ah, right.
So the light as such is not duality. There is no darkness. It's only about our ability and willingness to see.
Right. Perception, yes. And that, our perception of life must come from the inner and all cylinders, and not just from the mind's teachings, because then we can get stuck on misinformation.
Oh, yes.
Our heart and souls never lie to us, do they? Never lie to us. It's the heart and soul is incapable of lying to us. And when we tap into that heart and soul, and we feel that information from that, then we really do know what our truth is and what we're here for.
Yes. Yes, we do. And it again, it opens bit
Yeah.
by bit by bit, because in the beginning and also in the middle and all the way, we're never completely ready. So we need to like gradually open up and open up and open up and expand and expand.
Yeah.
That's the
When you
journey.
look at anything, that grows, it started off being a seed. The
Mm.
present moment, my landlady has been planting these cane trees. And they started off as tiny little things, and they grow quite quickly. And these are going to grow to 20 feet and grow really wide over a period of time. But she's got to
Mm.
water them and nurture them along the way. And
Mm.
we don't know how much we're going to grow, how much we're going to expand. But we've got to remember we do need to nurture ourselves and look after ourselves
Absolutely.
along the way. And there's going to be some
Absolutely.
times where it's a tough growth and you need a little more nurturing, a little more loving,
Mm.
and other times where it just shoots right up.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and as all things that grow, be that love and nurturing to your own garden.
Mm. Absolutely. I love nature metaphors.
Nature
So
has
true.
so many
Mm.
answers. It has all of the answers. The
Mm.
the elements themselves, each one of them kind of speak to who we are and how we interact and integrate with life. And
Mm.
nature, animals, children. If we want to simplify, if we've got a question, just go and spend some time there. Go to a place where you're watching the kids play. Sit on the
Mm.
bench, the wind blowing, a lovely breeze, the sun beating
Mm.
down on you, and that's joy. If you want to know what
That
it
is
is, that's
joy.
joy, folks.
Exactly.
Take
And
it,
I love
put
for
it in.
silence also. I love for
Yes, yes,
silence. That's it's like opening more and more and more and more. It's not even, finding the right places in the mind. It's the
yes,
mind becoming more and more still.
yeah.
And silence is so potent. There's such creative power and such beauty in
Yeah.
that.
Is you don't have to kind of get down into the pretzel and meditate, is that you can be in a meditative state anywhere at any time, can't you?
That too, that
Mm,
too, that too. Not
yeah.
always,
Not
sometimes.
always, but
We
you get
all
it.
have this chatter, layers and layers of
Oh,
chatter.
yes, yes,
Even
yes.
when we think we're silent, oh, there's more chatter. It's just
Yeah.
very subtle. So
Yes, yeah, that's where my visions
that,
come in.
yeah, always a journey.
Yes. And
Mm.
it's I think also it's your journey is going to be whatever your journey is, whatever it was designed to be. And if it's a bit
Mm.
rocky, don't beat yourself up. Well, that person did that and look how easy it was for them. Why wasn't it for me? Just maybe your
Mm.
journey is just meant to be a little rougher because maybe one of your destinations, how everything you're learning along the way is going to be a little bigger. There is no competition here.
Exactly. And also, it's like in the adventures, like in an adventure, the hero or the heroine, they embark on the journey. And then
Mm.
remember, they always get like weird things that
Yes.
seem completely meaningless. And like, what, why are they finding a needle? Or why do they need a glass? And they have these different experiences that are completely, meaningless until they reach a certain place. And then it all falls like comes together, and it turns out that all the gifts, all the challenges, all the rocky paths that you mentioned, it all is needed for that final stage of the adventure where it all comes together.
Then it goes,
Wow.
I know why I struggled through that, or why it
Exactly.
took me down that path. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I got it now. And of course, you do have the universal signs. I'm nudging you this way, and
Mm.
the human resistance. I don't want to go. Push, and I'm not going. And then 2 by 4. Okay, I'm going now.
Yes.
So, it's resistance is futile, right? Just step into it.
Yeah.
Let it see
At
where it
least
takes.
sometimes, actually in this lonely to home book, I have a chapter on resistance because it's one of my favorite topics, because there's resistance and there's resistance. I've
Mhm.
noticed there is the resistance that is really, really helpful because it keeps you in place until you have learned the lesson and
Right.
until you have really integrated what needs to be integrated. And then there's the other kind of resistance that's just pure fear, and
Right.
and there's still a lesson there about
Right.
fear. So
Mhm.
I respect resistance, but yes, it's also, we are funny creatures
I know
also.
we are, aren't we? Yeah, the resistance based in fear, and I just don't want to do anything different because it means change.
Mm, mm,
That is, futile. But that resistance is, I'm going to stand my ground, or I'm going to step into myself and resist anything around me that wishes to change that. It's the positive resistance. So again, that's the thing about the language, isn't it? You can take one word and it can have so many meanings.
It can, and we can redefine our lives this way. We have, and I'm not even into the glass half full and half empty, but more into the glass.
Yes.
I like that, but we can really embrace everything.
Yeah.
We really can. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's never half empty. It's probably got air in it, right? So
I like that.
It's just a question of what is it filled with, or substituted by. But yes, we when we ask people to step into positivity and a joy of life, it's not to abstain from all the things that are going to happen in life, but it is to get into a heart set and a soul set where you can cope with what's coming, because you will always look to see what is to learn, or go through the process of the pain, of the sorrow, of the crying, and then look for that joy again, because you know how. So it doesn't mean stuff isn't going to happen. It just means that you're more prepared to deal with it along the way and understand why it's happening.
And we are never alone. Never alone.
No, never, folks, never. However lonely you're feeling today, you're not alone. We're sending you beautiful, loving vibrations right now that's wrapping its arms around you. You're not alone.
That too.
Yeah. So how do people sign up for your course? How do they get your books, and how do they find you, please, love?
Well, thank you for asking. The easiest way would be to go to my website at halinagold.com, because then they will find the books, the courses, everything, and the Finding Joy book is for free, so they can just download and then they will receive the information. So it's Halina Gold. Do you want me to spell it?
Yes, please, because it's a different spelling to most people.
It is. So halinagold.com, that's HALINAGOLD.com.
HalinaGold.com. And you're very golden, Halina.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful nuggets of information here today, in a wonderful spirit. And, I like the fact that you've got maybe a little complex program, the fact that it is over a period of time, but you've also written something so simple that's that invitation for people to step into. But your entire platform is finding joy. And
absolutely. And even if some of it is advanced, because most of the people that come to me are people that have been on a spiritual journey for a while, I am not a complicated person. My communication is not complicated, and I will always, always, always meet people where they are.
Right.
I'm there for them, not the other way around.
Right, so exactly.
Nothing to fear.
Yes, and just being a joyful spirit like you are, it's opening the doors already.
I hope so. Plus there are, there are the free discovery sessions. Almost all of my programs start with the free discovery sessions, so that there really is a opportunity to discover, your path and how we communicate and how we resonate. There is no pushing. There's no salesiness. There is just an exchange, to people meeting and seeing how I can support them.
Yeah, because you have to be on a somewhat the same frequency, otherwise they're just not going to get it. So again, they say the teacher will turn up when the student is ready. So
and the other way around too.
Yeah, exactly. And so you are ready for the students, and this is her frequency. Turn the knob here to 1 or 2. And I should kind of think we're missing out today on digital, because digital takes us from one to the other in absolute. When we used to turn the knob, you would catch those things that were in between, and very often that's where the message is, folks. So
absolutely,
go back to a little analog in your life.
Yes, that too. I agree.
Well, this has been an absolute delight. Fine-tuning our lives, and just I don't care what you have done or where you have been or whatever mistakes you've made in life. That was yesterday. It was all part of your lesson. It's where are you now in your knowingness, and where are you willing to allow yourself to be taken, right?
Absolutely.
And ignite from the inside out and connect with self, because when you do, that's when you start connecting with everyone else.
Exactly. And you are a gift, as my friend Andrea Pennington often repeats. You are a gift to the world, and we really are.
Yeah.
You really are.
And that's the beauty. When you find out what your gift is, that's when you find out what your purpose is. And that's when life becomes meaningful. And that's when you can step into action and make difference in other people's lives. And that's when you start seeing the gift coming back to you of the joy that you bring to someone else. A really nice ripple effect, isn't it?
It is. That's how it works.
It is. Yes, it's quite simple. And it's really joyful. Living a meaningful purpose is a joy. It truly is. It truly is.
It is.
Well, so it's halinagold.com. Get the book. Try the 25-page one and just see how it is. You know, that introduction. Step into her waters and see there aren't any sharks. There's just dolphins there. And then you can dive right in with all the infusement and wonderment that's within your soul and heart. Step into your joy. So,
oh, thank you, Sara. You have such a sweet way of expressing things.
Joyful.
Yes.
And yet, you know what? I wasn't always like this. I always tried to be, but I had many times the hand against me, the cloud against me, or feel like I was wrapped up in something that I could never get out of. And, you know, I made a choice that I wanted to feed the joy, however much the sorrow sometimes it consumed me. It was always looking for some joy. And for me, it was always looking for what's my purpose. And when I stepped into purpose, I stepped into my own joy. No matter what, my anguish was still there. The joy then started erasing the anguish. And we can do it. We've just got to be willing to surrender to
that is so very true. That this is another layer of joy. There are many layers of it, but there's a certain layer where until you step into your life purpose, the joy won't be full. But when you step into it, then it's there.
Yes. Then you truly know what abundance is. Right?
That too. That too.
Yep, your cup runneth over. Well, this has been a delight. Thank you so much for sharing such joy with us here today and such wisdom. And, you know, folks, the program is a beautiful, simple one. And, you know, it's a supported journey. You're not alone, and you'll find it's a very joyful one. And who you are at the other end of it, setting yourself free to be and stepping into your beingness and your knowingness and then becoming a gift to society is one of the most joyful things you'll ever do in your life. Let Halina take you there. Okay. Thanks a lot, love.
Thank you so much, Sara, and thank you for all the work you do. You are such a joy, and
my work is joyful.
Yes.
Well, I've got people like you. I mean, oh yeah, it's so painful. Yeah, no, it ain't, folks. This is joyful. If you want to know what joy is, I'm in my meaningful purpose, and I enjoy it every day. So you too can when you step into that. So thanks a lot, Halina, and to everyone else. Remember, life is waiting for you. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to be sad. You don't have to stay in that presence. The joy is there. You've just got to be willing to step into it. Let Halina help you. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.
For more wonderful shows like this, please go to selfdiscoveryradio.com, podcasts, and see our lineup. And if you wish to support us, we have a funded button. Please stay tuned for our next show.